The world woke up today to a thunderclap. In a move that stunned diplomats, rattled global markets, and sent shockwaves through ordinary communities on both sides of the border, Canada has officially declared an all-out trade war against the United States, and its weapon of choice is steel. Asterisk for decades. The U.S. and Canada have been bound by the longest undefended border in the world, linked not only by geography, but by shared culture, history, and blood. But today, that peaceful image was shattered. At the heart of the conflict, a bitter dispute over tariffs, national pride, and the future of two nations' industrial backbones. Asterisk, it started quietly. For months, Washington had been tightening restrictions on Canadian steel imports, citing national security concerns and unfair competition. For many Americans, it was just another headline. But in the steel towns of Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia, the pain was personal. Families watched as shipments were turned away at the border. Factories slowed production, and centuries-old companies announced layoffs. Asterisk in Hamilton, Ontario, a city built on steel, 54-year-old foreman Mark Reynolds stood outside the factory, gates with tears in his eyes. "My father worked here. My grandfather worked here. This place put food on our table," he said. "Now, because of politics, we're being told we're the enemy. Well, if that's how they see us, then we'll fight back." Asterisk and fight back they did. This morning, Canadian Prime Minister Amelia Ward stood before Parliament, her voice trembling, not with fear, but with fury. "For too long, we have extended an open hand to our southern neighbor," she declared. "But when that hand is slapped away, we will not bow our heads. We will rise." With that, she announced crippling retaliatory tariffs on U.S. steel, aluminum, and key manufacturing goods, instantly igniting a trade war of historic proportions. Asterisk across the U.S., the reaction was swift and divided. In Pittsburgh, steelworkers cheered the move, believing it might push the White House to double down on American production. But in Detroit, automakers panicked, warning that the higher cost of steel could send car prices skyrocketing and force thousands out of work. Asterisk economists warn the ripple effects could be catastrophic. From construction companies in Texas to shipyards in Louisiana, industries that depend on steel are bracing for price hikes, shortages, and potential collapse. Meanwhile, Canadian farmers, truck drivers, and dock workers worry they'll be the next casualties in a war they never asked for. Asterisk yet beyond the cold numbers and sharp rhetoric. This is a human story. In Sault Ste. Marie, 29-year-old single mother Jenna Clark, who works in a steel mill, fears losing the job that supports her two children. "I don't care about politics," she said. "I just want to feed my kids. But now my future depends on who wins this war." Asterisk in Washington, the president struck a defiant tone, vowing that America will not be bullied and that Canada will regret this escalation. But behind the podium, aides scrambled to find a way out before the standoff spirals into something far worse than a trade dispute. Asterisk meanwhile, in Ottawa, Canadian officials insist they're ready for a long fight. They believe that defending their steel industry is about more than economics. It's about sovereignty, dignity, and the right to stand tall in the face of a giant. Asterisk, the coming weeks will decide the fate of millions. Factories could close. Prices could soar. Friendships between neighbors could sour. But there is also a chance, however slim, that this crisis could force both nations to remember why they were allies in the first place. Asterisk for now. The world watches, holding its breath, as the first shots in this modern-day war are fired. And somewhere, in the quiet corners of Hamilton and Pittsburgh, men and women in hard hats continue to work, not knowing if the steel they forge today will build bridges or barriers.